Hi, I'm Luke McIntosh with becomeabassist.com and welcome to this 12-part series all about intonation. Pardon me. All about intonation. By the end of these 12 videos you should be intonating without even having to think about it. You should be able to play in tune most of the time without ever really having to think about playing in tune. It should become more of a muscular memory kind of thing. And every video in the series has exercises as well as audio examples and exercises and drones and all kinds of stuff to help you along the way. And those can always be found right below the videos. And in this particular video, we're gonna talk about why we need to why we need to play with good intonation, and I'll also talk about the 3 ways to correct bad intonation. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I guess the first question is, why should we learn intonation? Well, I personally can think of three reasons. But if you've got other ideas, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to read them. So the first reason I can think of is no matter what kind of music you're playing, whether it's jazz music, classical music, bluegrass, folk, funk, any New Orleans music, anything, no matter what it is, you being the bass player are the foundation of the band. And if you're playing out of tune, then the whole band is going to sound bad, no matter what kind of music you're in, no matter what kind of music you're playing. It's crucial that we play in tune as bass players, because if we don't, we're not going to be the most popular person on the bandstand. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is that intonation is the best kind of amplification. Now, I can't remember who I heard this from first, but I've heard it multiple different places, and the more I play, the more I think about it, the more it's true. Now, what I mean by amplification is the best kind of good intonation is the best kind of amplification. When you play in tune, your bass is actually more resonant and is louder and can be heard better by you and by everyone else on the bandstand. So by having good intonation, you can actually be heard more and be felt more by other musicians as well as your audience. So play in tune. So reason number 3, perhaps the most important reason, is that if you play with good intonation, you become more desirable as a bass player. People want to work with you, people want to play with you. And on the flip side of that, if you play with bad intonation, people won't want to play with you, people won't want to work with you, and you'll get less gigs with fewer musicians, and you'll all around not work as much. So play in tune, super important. Now, when I first started playing upright bass, I had horrible intonation. I mean, no one has good intonation when they first start up. It's something that needs to be worked on. But I was horrible. I was wildly inconsistent. I had good days and bad days. The bad days were really bad, and the good days, they were good. I mean, they were good days, right? So, but I had no idea how to go about fixing bad intonation. I could sometimes tell when I was in tune, but sometimes I'd feel good about it, and I'd listen back to the recording, and it'd be horrible. And so, but I didn't have a way to fix it, and yeah, very bad news. I didn't realize I was intonating badly sometimes, and I had this problem for longer than I'm probably willing to admit. But I had a teacher who gave me this one tool that revolutionized the way I thought about intonation, and also the way I practiced it, the way I worked on it. And it's thanks to him and this one tool that I intonate the way I do now. Now, I don't have perfect intonation by any means, but my bad days are less frequent, and when they do happen, they're not nearly as bad. And my good days are a lot more frequent, and it's effortless now. I don't have to think about playing in tune, unless I'm having a bad day, in which case I just take it back to basics, using a lot of the same techniques and exercises that I'm going to show you in this series. So, oh, by the way, the teacher and the guy who got me hooked on this stuff is a guy named Chris Fitzgerald. Look him up if you can. He's got a website. He's got a couple of videos on YouTube. Definitely look him up, because he's not only is he an incredible bass player, he's also probably one of the nicest people you could ever hope to meet. He's a super cool dude. So check him out. And this one tool that he gave me was a set of 12 drones. Now, for those of you who don't know, a drone is just a super long, sustained note. And what it does is it anchors you to a tonality. So, for example, when I would go practice anything really, I'd find I would drift either flat or sharp. It wasn't consistent. And but what having this drone did was anchor me to a certain tonality, so I wouldn't have to worry about playing in tune. And what it helped me to do really was build the muscular memory that I use now to play in tune, and also the distance between different intervals and stuff like that. So it helped a lot with position shifting. So it's all around, it's super, super helpful. So how do we use these to improve our intonation? Well, first of all, we're going to play the drone and get it perfectly... we're going to play the drone that we know is in tune, and we're going to play the exact same note and try and match the frequency. That's all intonation is matching of frequency. So let's start up this drone right here. Ooh, let me see if I can find it. Oh, by the way, we're using in this video. We're going to use the drone C, the C drone, and but you can use it with any of the notes, and you should, except maybe this low E, because there's no point in intonating that low E, because hopefully if your bass is in tune, it'll be in tune. But every other note will be. You can use the same thing. So that being said, there we go. So here is our C drone, just a C, and all we're going to do, super simple, easy way to practice intonation, is just play that C. And try and match the frequencies. Now when you're in tune, everything will feel nice and stable and it'll feel really good, it'll feel amazing. But if you're out of tune, something won't feel right, and you might actually hear and feel what are called beats, and it's a kind of wavering feeling that you really have to what's the word I'm looking for? Experience before you can really know what I'm talking about. And it's really hard to convey this through video and you might be listening to this through little computer speakers. So a better way of doing it is picking up your own bass and playing an open G, and then playing the G on the D string. Let me see if and play them together. Now if they're in tune, it should feel totally stable. It should feel nice and good. But if you take this G and bring it down just even a little bit, you start hearing that wavering, that it's a really kind of uncomfortable. Same thing if you go sharp. You feel that wavering. I'm not sure how well you can hear it through this video, but pick up your bass and try it for yourself. Get it in tune, and then a little bit flat, uncomfortable. You want to minimize that kind of wavering thing. That's all intonation is minimizing the amount that you're out of tune and playing in tune as much as you possibly can. And also, if you have a bow, definitely use it, because it's a lot easier to hear your intonation with a bow than it is playing pizzicato, playing with your fingers. But that being said, you can still use your fingers, and you'll still get a lot out of these exercises. So let's go back and find our drone. Where are we at? Here we go. So that's all we're trying to do, is trying to match the frequency. If you're a little bit flat, it'll feel unstable. Just bring it back up a little bit. Now, a lot of people have told me in the past, students of mine have said that they can't tell if they're playing in tune or not with the drone. And a couple of tips about that. You want to play these through speakers. You don't want to play them through headphones, because you want to actually feel the vibrations in the air. Because that's all it is matching vibrations. So you want to be able to feel when you're playing out of tune. And if you're playing through headphones, there's no air moving through your bass. There's no interaction of the note you're playing and the drone. So you want to have that interaction so you can tell whether you're playing in tune or not. I'm playing through a little speaker setup I got from, I can't remember where. I had it for ages though. But it's enough that the air is actually moving, and I can feel the beats, and I can feel when I'm playing out of tune. So definitely use speakers. If you have a bow and can use it, definitely go for it. I'm not much of an arco player myself. That's not really my background, but I do know enough to play without hurting myself. So when I do practice this stuff, a lot of the time it is with the bow, because it's super helpful. Now, Pardon me. Okay, so now we have our note against our drone. We can talk about what happens if we miss a little bit, if we're slightly off. Now, I'm talking about micro adjustments here, not accidentally hitting the wrong note, because then you actually have to move. Well, you could either change fingers or move the whole hand down. So there are 3 ways to correct bad intonation. 2 of them aren't so good. One of them is a lot more desirable. So the first one, which is wildly inefficient, is actually moving the whole hand, actually moving this mechanism right here. So let's get our drone back. Let's say you're a little bit sharp. Ugh. So now the one way to correct that is releasing pressure from here, moving down a little bit until you're in tune. This is kind of what you have to do if you're off by a decent amount. But if you're only just a little bit off, there are much better ways to do it. The second way of correcting bad intonation is trying to contract or expand the hand, which I don't recommend you do. Please don't do this. This puts an enormous amount of tension and pressure on the muscles in the hand, and the muscles in the hand are very, very small compared to the muscles in the forearm, muscles in the bicep, muscles in the shoulder, the pectoral muscle here, pardon me, and the muscles in here, which are the ones you want to use. You want to use the big muscles because you can do a lot more with a lot less effort. So you don't want to be correcting using the tiny muscles in your hand. And I'm going to show you what not to do. So please, if you find yourself doing this, if you find yourself a little bit sharp, and then doing this, it puts an amazing amount of pressure on the muscles in your hand and the muscles in your wrist. It's bad news, bad news, bad news bears. You don't want to do it, all right? Let me tell you the best way of making micro adjustments with your intonation. So let's say you have your C, and you're a little bit sharp. The best way isn't actually to move the hand at all. It's much better to use this motion here, motion stemming from the shoulder. So if you're a little bit sharp, if you drop the elbow down, this pinky here automatically rolls back. And if you're a little bit flat, raise the elbow up. It's probably actually better to use this on the second finger or first finger because these 2 fingers work together. So let's say you're a little bit flat. Let me get my drone back. Let's say you're a little bit flat. Nope, still too little. I was too far away from the actual note. Okay, perfect. A little bit sharp. Drop the elbow. A little bit flat. Raise the elbow. Still too far. Okay, here we go. Same with the first finger. Pretty good. Now if we're a little bit sharp, let's go a little bit flat. A little bit flat. Raise the elbow. And we're rolling this right here. Because if we press this down here, pardon me, if we press this down here, we've still got quite a bit of wiggle room depending on our elbow. Same with this one. But don't try and do this with the wrist, always with the elbow. And the elbow motion stems from the shoulder. So you've got quite a bit of leeway in that motion there. So always intonate, make micro adjustments with this whole mechanism here. Now, failing to do that is bad news because you'll end up with all kinds of pains in your hand and wrist. It's exactly what you don't want. So let's review 3 reasons to practice intonation. Number 1, what was number 1? Oh yeah, be the foundation of the band. If you don't play in tune, everyone will sound bad. Don't want everyone to sound bad. You want everyone to sound good, so play in tune. Second reason, what was the second reason? Oh, this is bad, I can't remember. I remember the third reason. Third reason is you'll get more gigs if you play in tune. and if you'll and people want to play with you when you play in tune. Let me just scroll back real quick here. Oh yeah, second reason, intonation is the best kind of amplification. You actually sound louder and be heard more by your audience and your bandmates. And remember the 3 ways of intonating. The 2 wildly inefficient ways, actually releasing pressure, shifting down a little bit, then putting pressure back on. Avoid that one. Second one is the contraction or expansion of the hand. Also, you want to avoid that one. That puts a whole bunch of pressure in this muscle in here because you're squeezing there a lot, which you want to avoid. Remember, you want to, and the third way, the appropriate way, the best way, with the elbow. You're pivoting on this point right here. So 3 ways of intonating, plus 3 reasons why you should be intonating. Tune in for the next lesson, and I'll see you very shortly. Leave comments in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video.